Despite going through infertility treatment, we couldn't have a child. When I told my husband it was my fault, he snorted dismissively. I could tell he wanted to call me useless. Without asking about the treatment or anything, he left the room in a bad mood. My name is Mina. I'm 30 and I work full-time. I met my husband Marcus through a mutual friend. Marcus loves to read and has a literary vibe. I also loved books so much as a child that I dreamed of becoming a novelist. Marcus and I were instantly attracted to each other and started dating. We got married when we were both 26. I thought it was a happy marriage at the time. I believed that with Marcus, who shared my interests and worldview, we could build a peaceful home. But my dream of happiness cracked as soon as we got married. After the wedding, Marcus became obsessed with having a child. I want to have a family soon. Sure, Marcus has always dreamed of a family with children. Having a job and kids is a sign of a blessed family. It's a social status. I agree with working as a couple, but children aren't commodities. He keeps insisting as if you can just buy them at a store. And I started to feel uneasy about Marcus's ideal. When we were dating, he often said, "Our happiness is what matters." But after marriage, he started talking a lot about social status. To sum up Marcus's wishes, a wife and child would be trophies for him. I was slightly disappointed as this was a bit different from when we were dating. So a year into our marriage, things got tough for me. Because I couldn't get pregnant, we reluctantly started infertility treatment. From that point, Marcus's attitude towards me worsened. He openly mocked me in front of our in-laws. My sisters are amazing. They have 2 kids. Mina is not only low-paid, but also infertile. Our sensible in-laws frowned at Marcus's insensitive words, and they sent me apologetic glances. The ones who stood up for me were my sister-in-law and her husband. My sister-in-law, Emile, is a career woman working for a large corporation. She has children, a son named Silas and a daughter named Alyssa. They are twin siblings. Emile's husband, who is my brother-in-law, Bobby, is a kind and gentle person. Emile and my husband, Marcus, are siblings with a 6-year age difference, and their personalities are polar opposites. Unlike the introverted Marcus, Emile is decisive and caring. That's why she's trusted and promoted at work. Marcus is jealous of his sister's situation. So when he gets tired of belittling me, he insults Bobby. Well, I get why my sister has to work hard. If Bobby is jobless, she has to work to make ends meet. Even when subjected to such childish sarcasm, Bobby doesn't react. Ha! I'm a stay-at-home dad, you know. Even when Bobby responds cheerfully, Marcus continues his tirade. Being a stay-at-home dad is pathetic. Even the incompetent Mina could do that. Just when I was about to speak up, wondering how much more he could belittle people. Marcus, if you say any more, I won't forgive you. Emile glares at Marcus with a stern face. Our in-laws intervene and the situation is diffused. After that, Emile called me aside to apologize. I'm sorry Marcus's words hurt you. It's not so much that they hurt, more like they're shocking. While Emile and I were talking, Bobby came over. Mina, come over sometime, just you. The kids want to play with you. As Bobby smiled, Silas and Alyssa, who were playing outside, came running over. Both hugged me and acted affectionate. Mina, come to our house next time. Alone. We'll be waiting for you. You have to come. Marcus's hurtful words had been tormenting me, but my in-laws and Emil's family were kind to me. My in-laws advised Marcus not to rush things, but it was in vain. Once Marcus found out we couldn't have children, he emotionally distanced himself from me. Even after learning about my infertility, my in-laws didn't blame me. Living happily as a couple is also a good life. They tried to console Marcus, but it had no effect. Happy with someone useless? What a waste of time. I had been constantly berated by Marcus for ruining his life. Exhausted from infertility treatment and ignored even when work was tough. I was concerned about my pale face. At work, my colleague, Mr. Johnson, a young employee I had mentored, said, "Mina, you look really unwell. The boss and everyone are worried." "I'm sorry. I might just be tired. Really, I'm sorry." I felt pathetic for causing concern even at work. I couldn't have children, was called incompetent by my husband, and had no one to talk to. Consulting Emil and Bobby would only deepen their rift with Marcus. I felt utterly cornered, manipulated by Marcus's ideals. Mr. Johnson, who had been watching my condition, sighed. "You haven't done anything wrong, Mina, so please don't apologize." He told me not to think everything was my fault. "I won't pry into your family matters, but bottling it up is also a problem." "Thank you. Hearing that makes me feel better." Mr. Johnson, my colleagues, and my boss were all concerned about me. When I looked down, my boss would cheer me up with a funny story, and colleagues would give me snacks. I felt warmly treated. Marcus may call me low-paid, but I loved my workplace. Time passed in this state, and when I turned 30, something happened. Emil was transferred for work. She was appointed as the branch manager for a 2-year term. Emil and her family, who had always been kind to me, were moving far away. I wouldn't be able to see the adorable Silas and Alyssa anymore. My in-laws were so sad about their reliable eldest daughter's transfer. When the transfer was decided, I helped Emil's family move. Marcus didn't even show his face, even though it was a weekend. While I was carrying heavy boxes, Emil said, "Mina, that's heavy. Don't overdo it." Saying that, Emil helped me carry the boxes. Then she brought up Marcus. "I hate to say this, but let me. I really dislike Marcus. I can't accept him even as my younger brother." Despite being 6 years apart, she seemed to dislike his selfishness and his imposing of his ideals. Bobby had been ignoring Marcus's sarcastic comments. It wasn't so much that he disliked Marcus, he seemed to look down on him. My nephew and niece, Silas and Alyssa, really don't like Marcus either. Their smiles vanish whenever he's around. Marcus, thinking he's the cool uncle, is totally mistaken. The smart twins, Silas and Alyssa, understand that I'm suffering because of Marcus. "Mina, are you okay? Don't listen to what he says." "We don't care about him, but we worry about you, Mina." Marcus is so disliked that even the kids refer to him as that guy. After helping with the move, I was about to leave when Emil offered me a thank you gift. "No, really, your family always lifts my spirits." As I tried to decline, Bobby smiled. "Your help made the move go smoothly. Please accept this as a token of our appreciation." Unable to refuse their kindness, I accepted the gift, which was a gift card, not cash. I also joined them for dinner at the insistence of Silas and Alyssa before heading home. When I got home, Marcus was waiting. He'd apparently been idly passing the time, not helping with the move. As I was about to take a shower and go to bed, Marcus asked, "You're liked by Silas and Alyssa, aren't you?" I'm certainly liked by them 100 times more than Marcus. Frowning, I listened as Marcus said something unbelievable. Even someone useless like you can raise kids. Let's adopt Silas or Alyssa. They have 2 kids. They can spare one. Marcus laughed. Are you serious? If you are, I despise you. There's no way Emil and Bobby would agree. More importantly, the twins would never want to live with an uncle they dislike. My attempts to talk sense into Marcus were futile. He fantasized about a world convenient for him and even suggested we move to where Emil and Bobby were relocating. There are plenty of companies in the countryside that would want someone like me. Stop it! Don't drag others into your delusional dreams. I couldn't hold back anymore, and we argued. Then Marcus dropped the bomb. We're moving to where my sister is relocating. If you don't like it, leave. At that moment, my anger exploded. Fine, I'll leave. I realized I couldn't live with this man any longer. I quickly packed my bags and left Marcus. My hometown is far away and my parents have passed on, so I temporarily took refuge at my in-laws' house. They welcomed me warmly, even late at night. When I exposed Marcus's selfish dreams, they were shocked and immediately contacted Emil. They kept apologizing to me, regretting how they had spoiled Marcus. The next day, Bobby came to see me in place of Emil. I was then asked to do something by the relocating family of my sister-in-law. My in-laws agreed, and so did I. Shortly after, I received divorce papers from Marcus. After completing the process, we were officially divorced. I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders after the divorce. It seemed foolish that I had endured this from the age of 26 to 30. 2 years have passed since the divorce. I have diligently continued my work, received promotions, and even have subordinates now. Mr. Johnson, a colleague I had mentored, is still around. I currently live in a condo owned by Emil's family, essentially house-sitting while they are away. I keep in touch with Silas and Alyssa, but haven't been able to visit due to my busy work schedule. Marcus communicated his desires to Emil and ended up estranged. He couldn't follow them on their transfer, and after multiple work failures, he was fired. His self-centered nature made him unpopular at work. He's job hunting now, having sold the house we lived in. All this I learned from Marcus's parents, who still care for me even after the divorce. They were even happy for me when I found a new partner with marriage in mind. Just as I was considering moving in with my partner, Emil contacted me. Mina, thank you for house sitting. We've been ordered to return to headquarters soon. In other words, they're coming back to the condo I've been watching. I'm glad you're coming back. Actually, I updated Emil on my new relationship in the past 2 years. She was genuinely happy for me. We discussed my moving out of the condo and ended the call. Emil advised me not to overextend myself considering my job. Eventually, Emil's family returned, and I moved to another condo to start a new life with my partner. That's when I ran into my ex-husband, Marcus. The door to my workplace opened during business hours. Mr. Johnson immediately went to handle it. We're quite busy at the moment. Please have a seat and wait. I heard a familiar, arrogant voice near where Mr. Johnson was guiding the guest. It was Marcus, my ex-husband. Hurry up, I don't have all day. His intimidating tone scared the other customers. As the manager, I stepped in. Sorry for the wait. We'll assist you shortly. Marcus was shocked to see me. Why are you here? Don't you know? This is my workplace. I'm the manager. I had been working in real estate all along, earning various certifications like real estate license and CPM. My experience and qualifications led to a promotion to a chief position. While Marcus looked down on me, I became the person I wanted to be. That person is neither Marcus's wife nor the mother of Marcus's children. It's a life that has nothing to do with Marcus's status. I quickly asked Marcus what kind of property he was looking for. Mr. Johnson and my subordinates, recognizing a difficult customer, watched intently. With your budget, we can't offer a condo. Even for an apartment, you'd need a guarantor. Don't mess with me. I need a condo to get married. Find one. Even if he says so, it's impossible with Marcus's budget. Besides, his marriage is none of my business. If you're not satisfied, please leave, I said, overly polite. Then Marcus started yelling. A useless woman who can't even have kids acting all high and mighty. The yelling was so intense that the customers looked like they were about to call the authorities. Just as I was about to handle the situation firmly, Mr. Johnson stood behind Marcus. Excuse me, you're disturbing the customers. Please leave. Intimidated by the tall Mr. Johnson, Marcus left in a huff. The scared customer seemed relieved. I also felt relieved that the situation didn't escalate, but Mr. Johnson scolded me. Mina, or should I say Chief, don't take such risks. He was angry, saying it could have been dangerous if Marcus had gotten physical. I apologized, saying I'm sorry, and held my belly. When the customers were gone, Mr. Johnson wondered aloud. Is that guy okay? You're pregnant with my child. He's a bit odd. I'll be careful from now on, Mr. Johnson. When I gave a dodging smile, Mr. Johnson playfully said, Mina, we're getting married soon. Call me by my first name, not my last name. I found his pouting cute and couldn't help but laugh. After divorcing Marcus, I hadn't planned on remarrying, but Mr. Johnson confessed his feelings. He had liked me since he joined the company and waited to confess until after my divorce. 1 year after the divorce, he told me his feelings. He's a man who cared for me all the while I was suffering with Marcus. I fell in love with the kind and generous Mr. Johnson. Although I'm divorced, he didn't mind at all. And when we were considering living together, I found out I was pregnant. I had lied to Marcus, saying I was the cause of our infertility. But that was a big lie. I just had a slightly difficult time getting pregnant. My love for Marcus, who pressured me alone for infertility treatment, vanished. Simply put, I didn't want to have Marcus's child, so I falsely claimed that treatment would be useless. Luckily, Marcus didn't look closely at the test records. I'm not interested in becoming a status symbol for Marcus. Fortunately, I'm having a child with Mr. Johnson, who always cared for me. Emile fully supported my decision when I told her the truth. So I married Mr. Johnson and had a healthy baby boy. I'm happy building a new family. Marcus, on the other hand, is living at his parents' home, unable to find a property. He was shocked to learn I had a child, a revelation made by Emile. He's still unemployed and blames everyone for ruining his dreams. Emile tried to knock some sense into him, saying, reflect on yourself. A family isn't about status. But Marcus remains jobless. He came to demand compensation for my false infertility claim, but was kicked out by Mr. Johnson. If you cause any more trouble, we'll call the authorities. Give me the compensation, Marcus yelled. I firmly told him, you know, I did have some difficulty getting pregnant, but 90% of the problem was you. Want to see the medical certificate? Marcus had never looked at the medical certificate, assuming he was fine. Even the obstetrician said the problem was more with Marcus than with me. Upon checking the medical certificate, Marcus broke down, claiming it was a hoax. When I told him it was a legitimate medical certificate, not a fake, he cried even more. I was annoyed, thinking my baby would wake up. I even considered suing him for the emotional harassment he was causing me. But Mr. Johnson calmly talked Marcus down, who was crying like a child. "You've made Mina suffer way more than this. If you want to cry, do it in your own bed." After that incident, Marcus never showed up in front of me again. When my former parents-in-law found out Marcus wasn't working and even tried to sue me, they were furious. Marcus became estranged from both his parents and Emil's family, and eventually stole money from his parents and disappeared. Everyone from his parents to his older sister said it was good he was gone. Around that time, Emil's family came to visit and met my baby. Silas and Alyssa took turns holding my child. Bobby and Mr. Johnson were chatting amicably. Emil lamented Marcus's foolishness. "He's always been paranoid, but he really is the worst younger brother. He'd oppress others just to achieve his own dreams. Even if he had a family, it would be a sham." While we were talking about Marcus, Silas and Alyssa came over. "He made fun of Dad. I hate him. Dad is kind and awesome. Yeah, Dad has lots of stock certificates. He's rich." Apparently, Bobby was making money through stock trading while being a stay-at-home dad. Marcus didn't know that. I was surprised to hear it for the first time, too. Mr. Johnson, holding our child, laughed warmly. "Silas and Alyssa, please be friends with this little one." At Mr. Johnson's request, Silas and Alyssa nodded in agreement. Though we're not relatives anymore, I was happy to be close to Emil's family. Just as I was thinking I'd like to continue being close, Silas and Alyssa asked Mr. Johnson a question. "What's your first name, Mr. Johnson? Mina calls you Mr. Johnson, too. Don't you have a first name?" Faced with the twins' serious question, Mr. Johnson looked at me and answered with a smile. "Actually, my name is Marcus, too. Never thought it would be the same as Mina's ex-husband," he said with a wry smile. I felt a bit guilty for never having considered this. As I was about to promise to call him by his name, Silas and Alyssa clapped their hands. "If you're interested in someone just like him, give him a nickname. If you don't like having the same name as him, we'll give you a cute nickname." Silas and Alyssa thought for a moment and wrote down a nickname for Mr. Johnson. The nickname the twins gave my husband was Marquis. It was a bit unusual, but Mr. Johnson became Marquis. As Emil and Bobby smiled, I thought to myself, I'll call him Mark, a name that only I will use. I called out to Mr. Johnson, who was being adored by Silas and Alyssa. "Mark! From now on, I'll call you Mark." Our child, watching our smiling faces, grinned happily.